My name is Walter Smart. I work for NIC Global. We are a sheet metal fabricating company here in Gallatin. So my background is I'm actually a mechanical engineer. I went to school for engineering and I worked for a local company here that's no longer here, Peterbilt Motors. And so they built trucks. So I kind of got into engineering as a little kid. I liked fixing things and didn't know there was an actual major in school for that. So that's how I got into engineering. So during my time in engineering at Peterbilt, I did that for 20 plus years, and then I transitioned over into what I do now at NIC Global, which is a human resources recruiting and training manager. So I'm responsible for getting people employed as well as training them on how to do the jobs correctly. And so I transitioned from engineering into human resources. My last 2 years at Peterbilt, our HR manager came to me and wanted to talk to me about the opportunities in HR, and I really thought at that time, why do I want to go into HR? I'm an engineer. But she talked to me about some things that I had done with some of my employees and just some of the things I like to do outside of it. So I would say one of the things that I think is strong for any major, I don't care what you're going into, is good communication skills. You have to be able to communicate with people. And whether that be written, whether that be orally, it's important to communicate with people. So I would say in school, it's very important to really pay attention to those English teachers. Pay attention to your handwriting. Pay attention to anytime you get an opportunity to talk, make sure that you're talking clearly. So I think presentation was one of the big things. Obviously, being an engineer, math. Math was a very, very important subject for me. I really did like math, and so fortunately, math was very easy for me. Math was a strong suit. So now you have math, now you have English. And so in school, you're taking all those type of subjects. So I'd say it'd be very, very important to be very, very skilled in those subjects, as well as reading, because now I have to read instructions, I have to read presentations, I have to read things in order to be able to articulate to other people, whether it be verbal or written. So reading is very important as well. So all those different skills I try to use in any of the jobs that I've had, so I could articulate to what I was the message I was trying to convey. I think if you are considering HR, I think you need to be a person that is listens. You have to be able to listen because, again, you are usually involved with people. And HR stands for human resources, it's very, you're talking to people. I think you got to have a genuine love and concern and care for people. I think you need to be able to communicate, as we talked about earlier. Communication is very, very key. And that part I just said about listening, a lot of times it's not us talking, it's listening. And then being able to take that information that you heard and knowing what you need to do with that information. Who do you need to seek out to help that individual? So I think you have to be a kind, caring, compassionate person for people. So a typical day for me now is, right now we are in the midst of, I'm the HR recruiting manager, and training, but I'm focused primarily right now on trying to recruit employees. So we have going on in the country right now, unemployment has been going up and down, and so now, of course, with the pandemic going on, it's been kind of hard to get people in to talk to them. So my typical day now is we have job openings, so my job is to fill those job openings. So I have another person who works on my staff who she filters through all the applications, resumes, and things of that nature. And so we go through them, we try to find applicants that display some of the experience and skills that we're looking for to fill the open positions we have. So I'm on the phone a lot, talking to people. I have people coming in my office all the time doing interviews. That's just a typical day. The challenging part of my job is I'm still working with people. People are very unpredictable. So a challenging part of my job, and here I've seen more recently, is I call a person up, have an interview set up for 9 o'clock on tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock comes, no person shows up. That's very challenging because I set my day, I schedule, arrange things in order so that I can get people in to talk to them, and then they don't come. Also, I'll say a challenging part of my day also is being in human resources. We also are not only the department that you talk to for training and recruiting, all other type of social skills. I mean, all other type of social issues with our employees. We're kind of a place where they can come sound off to us about things they're having, difficulties they're having on the job. Often they bring in difficulties they're having at home. And so we have to have a way of being able to navigate through their issues as well as the things we have planned for that day. So I could have a great plan for the day, and I could walk into something, to a situation where I had to stop doing what I had planned on doing to take care of our employees. The rewarding part of my job is multifaceted, I would say, especially from the recruiting standpoint. When I get an employee, and this employee who I had interviewed, and we go through all of their qualifications and skills, and when I make that call to tell them, or if they're even in person, I tell them they got the job. Sometimes for some of the employees, it's very, very life-changing for them. They've been looking for a job for some period of time. They've been trying so hard, then to get an opportunity to sometimes see those people get the job and become great employees for us, and it's a life change for them. That's very rewarding for me. So when I did switch over from engineering to HR, there obviously, I had shortcomings because I didn't go to school for HR. So there were things I had to go into. Some of the things where I went into some formalized training on skills, training mechanisms, and things like that I had to learn how to do. I was doing some of these things kind of naturally, but I didn't have a formal, regimented set schedule of how I should do it. So when I went into HR, I took some things such as Dale Carnegie. Dale Carnegie is a public speaking type of forum. So I took that. That was a 12-week course that I took. Also, we did some things with our employees where I knew I had to go in to evaluate employees on how they were viewed by other employees and how they view themselves. And then being able to match what people think about them to what they think people think about them. And be able to mesh that that gap into making sure those employees are being perceived the way that they want to be perceived, and they're having the results that they want to have. So I did a thing called Profiler, and that was basically another session on being able to make those assessments. For school, for no matter what major you go into, it's very important to make sure that you're learning the most amount of education, most amount of information that you can. Consume it. I know school sometimes it gets boring, sometimes you don't want to go to school, but we don't see at a young age ourselves in the future. And what we do at a young age is really, really puts a track down for our future. And so we don't see it as a first grader or third grader, or maybe the 8th grader or 12th grader, but when you get later in life, you say, man, I wish I had paid more attention to that teacher. Man, I wish I did better on that test. I just think it's very, very important that you concentrate as much as you can on your schoolwork. And then doors will open up for you at some point. You don't have to know what you want to do right now in the 4th grade. But as you progress in your education, more information will come to you, and that'll help guide your path and what you want to do for a lifetime. So I think, again, no matter what major it is, and maybe some fields are more represented by certain ethnicities. More fields are more represented by certain genders. So, like say, we would say nursing. You would think most nurses have to all be female. Well, they don't. They can be male nurses. And so, I think that it's important that we don't limit ourselves at all. I know when I was in school, sometimes I might have been one of the very few that looked like me in that class. But I never let that be a deterrent for me. And I looked around at my other classmates, and all of us who had that drive and ambition, we were just all one. We didn't let things, like I said, like our ethnicity, our gender, it's open for everybody. It's what you want. It's what you want and how bad you want it, and not being told no. You can do it. Even though maybe you don't see a lot of people around you that have done it, that represent you, well, why don't you be that person? Why don't you be the person that other people look at and say, man, after looking at that person, I felt that I could do it.